Your assignment due last night was to kind of prep your brain. Looks like most of you hit that with these questions so that you kind of knew what somebody might throw at you today, or at least have a sense of it. And by the way, you're not, those of you who are on the, when you're on the interview side, you are not constrained to have to say these. You could go off on your own, talk about something different, whatever. And then this was your, general questions to ask the employer. And then on the back side, the person who's doing the interview is going to kind of give you a grade of 1 through 4. You might have saw this. You weren't supposed to do this part of it because that's what we're going to do today. So gum chewing, slouching, firm handshake, well prepared, answered questions, started and attended. And here's the thing. You should really try to give an honest answer to it. Just don't try to be nice. Awesome, nailed it. Everybody nailed it. That's not really constructive. That's not helpful for the person that you did. So, of course, give positive comments and maybe some critical comments. So, what we're going to do is split you guys up, and the people who are going to go out in the room are the ones who are going to be interviewed. Right? So the interviewees are going to be outside. And the other half of the room is going to stay inside, and I'm going to give you this sheet of paper. So the other person's going to come in, and we're going to randomly put you with a partner. Because of COVID, we're going to skip handshakes, unfortunately, but I do want you to do an elbow bump. So do an elbow bump with the person you're interviewing. Of course, you have your mask on. Physical touch is something that's important. When used in appropriate ways, of course, we know that there's inappropriate ways too, but physical touch is something that can really change the dynamic of things. So it's important to have a good handshake. Again, normally I go around and I shake everybody's hand in class and I judge your handshake. And I'm skipping that lesson as well, or that exercise for fun, but certainly something you can practice in the future. But having a good handshake, sometimes people go too strong, especially some guys, but I've had some females too that just were like, trying to kind of overdo it, and you don't want to be too soft. Like there's nothing worse than a lump of Jello handshake, right? So there's a nice little medium there. Getting your hand into the crux of where the thumb is. Make sure you do that. You don't want to do this grandma handshake where you just grab it onto the fingers or something. So it does take a little bit of practice to kind of put that hand out there. You don't want to be turning somebody's hand because that's kind of a sign of power, like you're trying to overpower them or something. So you want to come in, nice handshake, you kind of get used to what sort of firmness to use, and that's the handshake. So master the handshake. That's something to practice. You can practice with your roommates, or if you want to, I'll be happy to shake your hand on different times if anybody wanted to try it, because I do enjoy doing that part, and I know how important it was in my business life over time. So for our little mock interview here, elbow bump, mask on, and then we're going to do it. Any questions? All right, so I'm going to give you a number. Actually, maybe I don't need to give a number. Why don't you guys go out in the hallway? And because I think we're 7, you are 3, 5, and Josh, why don't you go out in the hallway? So we got 6 and 6. We got even Steven. Okay, all of you guys, we need to set up a little interview table. So get up, leave your laptops where they are, and turn the desk so that we have. Gosh, we got almost enough. But so right here, let's just go ahead and put one person at each one. So it's going to be like this. And this will be the interview table, okay? So go ahead and we'll leave this one open. So 2 people there, 2 people here, 2 people here. That's 6, so that'll be perfect. So just kind of change the chairs around. I want all the interview, a little stuff on it. Go ahead and turn one chair there. Yeah, well, that's a good idea. Why don't we have you guys sitting on this side, just like Abby did. Yep. So go ahead, you can go there. Connor, you want to come around over here? Come over here, just sit on this side, so that it's easy when we bring the interviewees in. Awesome, come on up. You're just going to be random. randomly assign somebody. Austin, you go there, and then you guys can look over your questions again. So save this for the end, right? So you're just gonna have this folks up just as so that you have a something to look at and remember what the questions are as we start the interview. Yeah, we'll try to keep it like, why don't you slide down just a hair there. Keep it at the ends of the table. All right, you guys have any questions? Okay, well, we got that little white spot. Ready? All right. Come on in, in this door. Come on in this door. All down at the end here on that side. Grease. And Raven's at the end of the baby. Caleb. And Samara. And Josh, you're here with that. Okay, go ahead and start. Remember what you're supposed to got to start off. We got 2 minutes left, so make sure during this 2 minutes that you give them an opportunity to ask you a question as an employer, and don't show them the list. You're not supposed to show the list. I know. He's asking you, but I didn't want him to see your questions. See what he does off the top of his head. That's what preparation last night was. And you can see then just see what they throw at you, even if you didn't prepare. You can make stuff up after that. Oh, you did. All right. Time is up. Fun. Okay, so now everybody, those of you who were the interviewer with the sheet of paper in your hand, bring a pencil and paper out into the hallway, complete the evaluation while we get these guys ready to be on the other side of the coin here. And you will be interviewing a different person than what we just went through. So everybody will be shuffled up. So out in the hallway, those of you with your piece of paper, do the evaluation on the flip side. Hopefully you got the name of your person you interviewed. All right.
gave a good, strong interview. I should have done the thing where, what are your greatest strengths? Oh, well, I'd like to talk about my greatest weaknesses. I care too much, too hard of a worker.
All right, and if you guys want to get a pencil or pen just to have with you, you can jot notes or check boxes or whatever, just to make it easier as we go through the interview. We'll bring those guys in a little bit. And now you get to be on the flip side. We'll see how these guys are doing with filling out their forms.
I'm wearing a mask and I can still smell you. Really an asshole. Okay, so if your grandmother dies and we need you to find out what you can do. You liar! You would not! I am so much. You would not want to talk to my dad.
I've tried. I've tried.
Yeah, I'm just not.
You guys aren't talking to me this year, but last year.
That's why I was he's still just like a normal dad.
You guys think of me or?
I don't know. I just knew that we didn't have a great quarterback here, and I didn't want to watch it. I gotta get some. And I don't have paper. Because I was there.
You was not, I was, you just took that sentence.
Yeah, I did. And
Yeah, and I was,
I watched.
you watched me work out? That sounds.
It was my job. That was my job. I had
So you said you sat there and watched me work out.
So what is the driving job?
He's a coach.
I was a coach.
You were 17.
I was 18. Now I'm 19.
I swear to God, I just like, I swear to God.
Oh, hey. Let's see, Gabby, why don't you go down there? And Brady, did you have thirties? Okay, why don't you go here with Caleb? Connor, thirties, Austin, Raven. And Michael, you have slide for it. So you go Josh and Bailey go to slide. You like missed more than
Yeah, I like this brand. Yeah.
What kind of,
Why is he being for a jump?
What is your weekly?
Describe your ideal
Usually,
I'm not gonna be mad about
What about following?
Okay, just a couple minutes left, so make sure you give yourself enough time to move on to the asking the employer question, or do you have any questions for me?
What do you think your pay rate
All right, you can wrap it up and go back to your seats. Make sure you write the first name and the first name of the person you just interviewed on your interview practice. No, that's big. Yeah, go back to your seats. Yeah. And then I kind of didn't put their name on there. So yeah, tell me who you interviewed, like give your sheet back. Yeah, I did. You had ready. I'm gonna take a picture too.
Sir, oh, wait, where am I? You're right there. Oh, yeah, Josh.
I got one left over. Who didn't get their paperback from the first round? Mike? Yeah, that was you. Another A there on the first A, double A. All right, so yes, finish off your comments. Again, it doesn't do much. They might have been strong in a lot of things, but maybe you want to give them a 3 on the thing they were the weakest, just to kind of, and then of course your written comments are important too. They will take those things to heart to think, oh, I could have done better at that, on your interview situation. So give you some time here to fill out your eval. Okay, so I want to turn to discussion question number 1 here, and it's just simply, what are your weaknesses when it comes to money? What are your weaknesses when it comes to money? So I want you to write this on your sheet that you're going to turn in. You can just write it right down on wherever there's the most space. Let me see your sheet again. Yeah, right on this side. So on this side, make sure your first name, last name's up at the top of that side too. And then right down here, what are your biggest weaknesses when it comes to money? What is your biggest weakness when it comes to money? And then I'm gonna randomly ask one of you to share your thoughts. And then certainly without Googling it all, which you shouldn't be doing anyway, but I thought I'd give you a reminder on this one. I want you to put down what you think a wedding dress would run for your potential marriage, even if you don't think you're going to get married or whatever. Wedding dress price. Everybody just put a guesstimate down. We don't have to be perfect. Wedding dress price, just write it down right below number 2 on what you think a wedding dress will run. All right, Brady, give me a number between 3 and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Abby. What's your weakness? Greatest weakness.
I would just say saving.
Okay.
I don't know, I kind of grew up and I got to get what I wanted.
Okay.
I didn't really have to worry about the spending
Okay.
part of it, and I don't know. And I always pay for my friends as well. Like if I want them to do something for me, I'll just pay for them.
Oh, and
That's
just cover
kinda
theirs. Okay.
Yeah.
So you never really had the chance to need to save for something. You pretty much were able to get stuff. I'm guessing through mom and dad over the years.
Yeah, only child.
Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Weakness. Want another weakness?
Not knowing when it's okay to spend.
Not knowing when it's okay to spend money. Okay. All right. So both with Abby and Raven's response, what tools are we learning in this class that can help with that? The budget for sure on the spending, and then as well as the savings, right? So just knowing what we're having, what do we call that budget? Zero-based budget. So plan ahead, yes, but I'm doing the equation now. Planned income minus planned spending equals 0. Zero-based budget, right? So in regard to saving, in regard to spending, all of that stuff, that probably is definitely our biggest tool for that factor. All right, so now I'm going to go around the room, and I want everybody to give me their wedding dress. We're going to get everybody's answer on the wedding dress thing. So, Josh?
10 grand.
10. Michael?
I put $700.
Okay. No, I know. This is fun. Austin?
5,000.
5,000.
Good.
Raven?
I said I wanted
The wedding show.
$100.
They're expensive.
Okay. Caleb?
2,000.
2,000. Abby? 1,000. Sultan?
35.
35. Jerice? 1,000.
Oh, 4,000.
4,000. Okay. Daily,
1,200.
1,200. Brady,
1,400.
1,400. And Connor,
Say yes.
how much?
2 to 10 grand.
Pick one that you think would be most reasonable for you. I need one single number. 5 grand. Okay, now maybe some of you picked up on, oops, not 5 million. Maybe some of you picked up on what I was doing there with my columns. Maybe it looked random, maybe you didn't pick up with it. Whose numbers are over here? Female, male. Notice the difference? So this little section here, we're going to have more on relationships and stuff too, but kind of shows the importance of communication when it comes to budgeting, and then both parties need to sit down at the table because there can be this kind of disconnect, right? And so sometimes it's just a matter, of course you guys don't know that much about, wedding dresses and how much they are, but I find this to be pretty normal. I've been doing this for 9 years. I've been kind of asking this question, and generally, if we averaged them out, the guys would be higher than what the females are. And we had a sport gun, so we're missing a lot of our females today, but so that would have been more interesting. But that's pretty typical. And so it's just pointing out again the importance of doing that budget, and this is starting to highlight doing that budget together, right? It's not like you have your budget, I have my budget, and maybe we go out to eat once in a while. But it's actually merging the two together, and that can really strengthen a relationship. And you can start to do this even early, not merging your money together, but at least having that dialogue. Maybe not on the first date. You can let some of the magic happen first without getting into budgeting issues. But fairly early on in your relationship, it's a good idea to have those types of discussions. Break the ice a little early because money issues, again, is the number one thing with relationships that can cause them to be passing in the wind. All right. So questions or comments there?
Who is closing?
Who was well? No, it's totally across the board. Is the funny thing. My wife and I got a secondhand dress by her choosing. We talked about it or whatever. We just had a fixed amount of money from mom and dad, and it was like $5,000 between the two parents or something. And we kind of said, well, we're not going to spend more than that. So we actually pulled off our wedding. Granted, this was 30 years ago. But we pulled it off, and she got a $200 wedding dress. But there's even a better story of one of my students here at Ottawa. And she calls me up, tells me, you're never going to believe this. I just got my wedding dress. Guess how much I paid? So she went to the thrift store, which is closed now, the one that was on the corner in downtown Ottawa. Found this beautiful looking dress. And, it was approximately the right size and seemed like a good fit. And she brought it up to the register, and it was $1. But gets better. It was Wednesday, which is half price Wednesday. So she got it for 50 cents. And I'm not kidding. 50 cents for a whole wedding dress. And that's what she used. Yeah, and that's probably why they went out of business. Yeah, so it's kind of non-profit-ish type of store. But nonetheless, those types of things are out there, right? Like extra wedding dresses, sometimes women hang on to them for a while, and it's like, why are we hanging on to this thing? It's just taking up room in my closet. Let's put it on Facebook and let it go for free, or let it go for $10 or $100 or whatever. So very possible you can get a nice secondhand wedding dress if you want to do that. Or you can spend as much money. Nobody was even, I've heard of, $20,000 wedding dresses. You guys maybe seen some of those reality shows where you can spend as much money as you want. So it's definitely out there. I don't remember what the average would be. I would guess it'd be somewhere between the 1,000, 2,000 range, maybe, if I was to take a stab at it, but I don't really care. I look for deals. I don't get pumped up unless I'm getting a deal on something. So I'd be more on Raven's side here, or looking for a deal of some sort. I did it 30 years ago. The deals are still out there. People tend not to get married all the time, but yet they invest a large amount of money on that. And so if they were the ones that spent $2,000 on the dress, second-hand dress, $200, $300, who knows? Whatever. Start looking on Craigslist and see what you find. So, all right. So let's hit this last section, yeah? Okay. So I'm gonna let you guys finish off this video. There's probably about another 7 minutes or so, but I do want to hear some of your stuff growing up. How many of you had parents that kind of did the work for the chore? You get some money that way. Show of hands. So 3 of you. How many of you had just kind of you get $20 allowance for being my kid, or might have been 100, whatever. I mean, just some sort of fixed allowance that you got. Show of hands. One, just one? Really? Okay. And was there any chores or stuff along with that, or was it pretty much just here, everybody gets a little share? Okay, so it's pretty much just here, this is what you can spend. And were they pretty good at saying that's it? Like, if you wanted something that cost a little more, did you just go, Mom, can I get 10 more bucks and then I can buy this? You just get it, okay, all right. So, how many of you didn't get any allowance, anything at all, just pretty much mom and dad kind of covered what you needed, but it was always on a, what I call a mother may I? Have you heard that cliche before, mother may I? It just means you kind of had to ask for permission each time you go, I want to have this, and then you have kind of that little battle. So it's interesting, most of you didn't have the chore system. I know my mom, we did the chore system, and I always felt like I got a lot out of that in terms of, and for me, it was like, actually started us when we were young, like 7 or 8, having a chart on the wall, and each time you'd wash the dishes, it was like, you know, a quarter or something. Again, I'm dating myself a little bit on how much money that was, but it was a video game of Pac-Man, I can tell you that. So each time was a quarter, but you wash or you do, you know, the whole chart list. And before you know it, you got $10 or whatever saved up as a 7 or 8-year-old, and that's a decent amount of money. But it was always pretty much work as you go. So awesome.
Like, I don't really have any allowance, like, the chore list or like anything else in the chore is more like it's more like I learned as I grew up to do my chore and clean, keep it on.
Without a money attached,
money
or
or it's more like a,
part of the family, part of what you do.
years.
Yeah, part of the family. Yeah.
Like what you're talking on a daily basis.
Yeah. So everybody's, you know, a little bit different. There's no right or wrong answers. I think certain parents can parent that way and have it turn out fabulous. Other parents, maybe it doesn't turn out so fabulous. I think it's really leadership dependent, and there's different leadership styles that can make one or the other work. But you can kind of think about that as you enter the workforce, and you know, your personal work ethic, how much of that was shaped by that part, because it is sometimes different when I'm going to go to work, and then you're like, oh, $10 an hour. What? My paycheck for working that hard is only $60. Mom and dad used to give me $100, right, or whatever. So it can be a little bit of a shock as you start to get into it, but that is what you guys are approaching. And some of you will continue to have parent safety nets. As we're going to learn later, though, the parent safety net sometimes comes with strings too, right? Sometimes you guys maybe know what strings I'm talking about when you got the parent safety net. They want you to maybe walk a certain way, talk a certain way, do certain things. So then so that you're kind of earning your pay there sometimes, right? Again, it depends on the parents. Sometimes that can be healthy, sometimes it can be not so healthy, or sometimes what used to be healthy can turn toxic too from that. So you got to really navigate things well. A lot of this relationship stuff that we're doing, I think, will help you do that. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Turn in those sheets. Make sure you got your first name, last name on there on the interview part.